This is Daryl Clausen, U.S. Army. Dick Gray, U.S. Army Infantry Lieutenant. Don McDonald, USMC Sergeant Transport Division Truck Driver. Now, and Adam Haney will be reading for the late James N. Kaler, USMC Lieutenant Corporal, a friend and a client that shared his written stories about Vietnam with Adam before he died in May of 2016.
On this day, we moved south along the main road to Con Tien past 3 old bombed-out Catholic church structures. The area is relatively flat and open. It was formerly rice fields, as it appeared hedgerowed into about an acre or less block parcels. Due to the high probability of enemy contact and the flat terrain, we carried heavy fighting load of munitions described above. At about 1100 hours, we were east of the 3rd church by about 500 meters when our forward area and right flank erupted into a heavy volume of enemy automatic weapons fire, interspersed with rocket-propelled grenade fire. Our entire right flank from our lead element to our rear element was under fire by a vastly superior force.
I also had my first run-in with a Cobra. A couple of VCs started shooting at us and we all hit the ground. I had a small bush to my left front that offered me no protection. But as I was firing my rifle, I noticed movement coming from behind the bush, and when I took a closer look, there was a raised Cobra a few feet from me. If I jumped up, I'd get shot. If I stayed where I was, I'd get bitten. Since my rifle barrel was hot, I nudged the snake, hoping it would go or be irritated and go away. All I did was strike at the rifle barrel. That gave me a chance to gauge the strike, and as it raised back up, I blew it in half.
Within minutes, we went from bitching about bad coffee to reaching for equipment I never expected to use, an M14 assault rifle and 2 magazines of live ammo. It was some serious shit for someone who had signed up for 4 years to avoid shooting anyone. We were told nothing but that the nearby air base was under attack, and we were directed to form a perimeter behind some high-powered spotlights which already surrounded our base. I imagined hordes of screaming Viet Cong headed our way. When I lit a cigarette standing under a streetlight, the idiot next to me said to put it out because it might give away our position. Much has been written about how one thinks he might perform under fire before given the opportunity. In my case, I spent the next hour or so with a loaded weapon in my hands, convinced I would not shoot anyone. I would have given up my life rather than kill another person, no matter what his nationality. In later years, I wondered why I considered my own life less valuable than that of another. I suppose at the time, my strong conviction that killing was wrong was stronger than the army training that tried to bleed that out of me. I was also beginning to think that being in the army amounted to nothing, and even to doubt that my own life was not as valuable as I once thought it was.
Once I thought that everything I ever learned while in the military would be available in my head and clear as a bell, but my recall of training has never been so great. I seem to remember everything from the year 1951 to 52, yet I have no other year in my life that I can recall as vividly as that one.
About the Army, hurry up and wait. I was introduced to that idea in spades. Due to a computer error, Lost in the Woods was double booked, and we wound up spending 2 weeks in a holding reception company. We should have only been there for 3 days. We had one change of clothing, and you got to know everybody by their name. So when we went to Clemson, you called him Clemson because it was on his shirt for his whole life. After 2 weeks of wearing the same clothes, doing almost nothing, rushing a blind panic, we survived all that, and finally basic training was ready to go. It was fairly uneventful until last week. I got bit by a copperhead snake, spent 4 days in ICU. And even that should have registered with me because, as it turns out, animals kept having curious cameos for the rest of my military career.
That, along with my age, has caused me to forget many things, but my boot camp company number and serial number still in my mind. Boot camp wasn't hard, but I couldn't march in cadence. My drill instructor felt that I was not a good marcher due to my habit of overly swinging my arms like a pachuco. And I thought I was cool in the barrio, but that didn't do well in boot camp. But he liked me. He said, you know what, we can still use you in the color guard. So I was put in the color guard, and that way I didn't swing my arms. I just carried my state flag. That was a great assignment, as it included marching in parades in towns like Huntington Beach, Fullerton. In 1965, in summer, I met plenty of new friends while I was out. It was only for a day or a weekend sometimes. And of course, upon my return to base, I had plenty of envious comments from the guys that weren't as lucky as me. I was proud to be in the Navy.
I was fed well in the seminary on the nuns' cooking, but now I was eating cake rations out of cans when an opportunity for a meal presented itself. Someone spotted a rabbit, so we surrounded it. It kept looking to get out of the circle and seemed to look at each one of us. Then it spotted me. I'm sure that rabbit was thinking, now there looks like a kind soul to let me escape. So we ran right for me. I had to overcome my instincts to be kind to animals and think of the team. All I could think of was that rabbit roasting over an open fire. I had a stick and whacked it on the head, which was enough to stun it. And the team moved right in and captured it. That night I got a big fat leg for being the captain. But when I reflect on this story, I realize that that blow was the end of my innocence and the introduction to my military life.